Good evening. My name is Dr. Yuan Hawks. I am the chairwoman of this commission. Now I call the meeting to order. First, we have a flag salute led by Vice Chair Cassie Sizemore.
Thank you. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Now, Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Good evening. Thank you. I'm proud to serve as your commission secretary tonight, Bea Barnett. Thank you, Chairperson Hawks. Commissioner Castro?
Here.
Commissioner DeGrave?
Here.
Commissioner Kingsburg?
Here.
Vice Chair Sizemore?
Present.
Chairperson Hawks?
Here.
All present. Thank you.
Thank you. And do we have any public comment?
Yes, we have 3 public comments this evening, beginning with Scott Rieger, followed by Susan Wilton, and then Rebecca Weersing. They're all from the Temecula Valley Rose Society. They will have 3 minutes each.
Welcome.
A little water. Good evening, commissioners and staff. I'm Scott Rieger, and I'm with Susan Whitten and Rebecca Weersing. We're from the Temecula Valley Rose Society, and we're also representing, of course, our beloved Rose Haven Heritage Garden, which we're probably more known for than the society itself. But if you haven't been by lately, you should go by, because it's in peak bloom, or it's like winding down, so get there soon. But we've had lots of visitors lately, proms, weddings, Mother's Day. It's been a very active couple of weeks, and we're proud to be able to provide that to the city. We're here to request that the City of Temecula Community Services Department add Rose Haven Garden to the 3 current locations designated for the Ralph Love Plein Air Contest. Those being the 3 that currently exist, of course, are the city parks, Old Town, and Wine Country. Some artists in the contest already paint scenes at the garden, like our lily pond, assuming perhaps that the garden is a city park. But as you all know, it's not. We're not owned and operated by the city. We're managed totally through volunteer and donations supported. And although a lot of people think we are city-owned, and we're trying to dispel people of that so that they will donate, because otherwise they think it's just their tax dollars doing it. Adding Rose Haven to the designated sites would provide yet another beautiful and appropriate location for plein air painters competing in the contest, ensure that artists are painting at designated sites, and selfishly bring additional awareness and visibility to Rose Haven, a treasure of Temecula Valley. As I'm sure you all know, the rose is the official flower of Temecula. We're establishing an artist group program in the garden to encourage painters to come out year-round. So we're trying to bring artists in, not just for the plein air contest itself, but year-round, and that's happening. For example, the Temecula Valley Art League, of which I'm a member, has a new plein air artist group, which has already begun painting in the garden. So we welcome the opportunity to be included as a 4th designated site for the Ralph Love Plein Air Contest in 2025.
That completes your time
Thank you for your
tonight.
time, and I'll turn it over to Susan.
How many of you have roses in your garden? Then you know what it's like to prune them, and we prune over 2,000 rose bushes, all by volunteer. We fertilize, we mulch, we weed, we do everything in the garden. So you can appreciate the amount of work and love of roses that it takes to make these beautiful, beautiful examples. So this is just an example of colors because there's every color you can imagine almost in the garden. These are my favorite because I like pinks and purples. As Scott said, we're the only garden in Temecula. We're not Parks and Recs, we are truly a garden. And not only are we a rose garden, but we're really 24 gardens within a garden. We have a Tree of Life, which we grow vegetables and herbs, and we donate that to the food bank. Last year, we did 500 pounds of produce to the food bank. And we also have a new pollinator garden where, you know, the grapes in this valley are dependent upon the bees. And so the pollinator garden attracts all of the native pollinators that make the wine even better because of their efforts. The Rosehaven Heritage Garden has been supplying and promoting roses throughout the city. All the white roses that you see throughout the city were started 34 years ago by the by the Temecula Valley Rose Society. They were planted by the society. So for 34 years, we've been providing this wonderful spot in Temecula. And as Scott said, it is a perfect location for artists and nature lovers to come 365 days of the year, free of charge, dawn to dusk, and just enjoy. We want to thank you for the consideration because we think that this will increase the value to the city. And we also want to thank the city because over the years, you have provided us with grants and with donations. And we have the Eagle Scouts who have done many projects in our garden that support us because everything is done through donations and or grants. So mark your calendars for October 2026, the 16th, 17th, and 18th, because that will be a rededication of the Temecula Valley Rose Society's 35th anniversary and its support of Rosehaven Heritage Garden. So enjoy looking. Thank you.
I'm so sorry. Could you just repeat those dates again for me?
The dates. Oh, October 2026, the 16th, 17th, and 18th. We'll have 3 days of events and celebration. And
Thank you.
dedication.
Thank you.
Rededication.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Wiersing. I've been a part of the Temecula Valley Rose Society since 1990 when we were formed. And in 1991, although we did not own the property at that time, we were given permission to start a rose garden. And so we were essentially squatters on the property for 15 years before the property came up for a tax sale. And we were able to purchase the property because it was the highest and best use for the property because of all of the pipes that go down to San Diego for water. And a little correction, Susan, we didn't plant all those white roses. What we did was we worked with the city on the Rancho California strip on the, I guess, the east side of that intersection with Inez. And we planted red trumpeter, which is a red rose. And those we planted just at the start of the Gulf War. And so we added little yellow ribbons to every one of the roses that were planted. And then when the war was over, the city had a parade. We participated in the parade by collecting all of our rose petals and, throwing them as we walked in the parade. So that's part of our history. We've had a wonderful opportunity to have programs for children, activities for families. We encourage the Eagle Scout projects, and Kathy knows about those, and her sons were very active in those, and they continue. And so we are a part of the community that we're there for quiet enjoyment, active learning, and healthy living. And any support that you can provide to us, we would truly appreciate. Hi, Jeff. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation and comments, and I was at the garden yesterday. It was beautiful. Thank you. And now moving on to our division report. First, we have contract class presented by Lisa Linton.
Hi, everybody. It looks like April was a really busy month. We hosted 505 classes with more than 8,000 participant visits throughout the month. The summer fall activity guide arrived at the homes of all the residents within city limits during that month and was distributed to our recreation centers and the library for access to those that don't receive it at home. We hosted the Community Services Expo on April 26th and had a great turnout despite the weather. All TCSD divisions were represented along with 20 instructor booths, and we had performances from all of our performing art classes and a karate demonstration. Our Glitz cheerleaders kicked it off, and we also had a morning stretch with Christy, our yoga instructor, so that was awesome. Registration opened the Monday following on April 28th and was off to a great start. And we're just looking forward to a busy summer of all the fun camps and activities.
Thank you. Now we will take some questions. We will start with Commissioner Castro.
Good evening, how are you?
Good.
I saw there was 505 classes. How many of those end up selling out, and how many of them have waiting lists?
Most are mostly full, I would say. Pickleball obviously is one of our more popular ones. Can I get the slide back up so I can see on mine? Oh, no, okay. And then our senior classes have really kind of increased. Christy took over those classes at the beginning of this winter-spring season, and it's been a really nice thing to do. Youth musical theater is doing really well. Just trying to pick a couple from each one. All of our cooking classes have done really well, and our Bear Cub University, Miss Tiny Tots, those are filling in nicely, even with the the TK age changes and everything. They're still really great programs. So.
Is this a thing where you have to be sitting there at 12:01 ready to hit the button to get into the class?
Not most of the class. I mean, they fill up kind of month to month. The more popular, like pickleball will always, and it sits open up until about the week or two before the next month starts, and then it kind of fills in. A lot of them do that. So we're just constantly watching them and filling from wait list as we can. There's lots of movement. So.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Now we'll go to Commissioner Kingsburg.
Thank you, Lisa, for the report. You mentioned April was a busy month, and that does seem like a big number, almost 8,600 participants. And so I'll kind of play off what I sent via email today. Does that seem like a high volume month compared to other months, or is it probably a pretty average April, or just off the top of your head? I mean,
I'd say it's a pretty average April. We that's the wind down of our winter spring season. So a lot of those classes are repetitive classes. They happen all year long, month after month. None of those are something except for youth musical theater that runs throughout the entire season with one enrollment date. So most of all of those classes are running anywhere between 4 and 8 weeks at a time with registration repeating, so.
Great, thank you. And then a second question, and it may not be in your ballpark necessarily, but maybe Erica or someone else can help. The fee schedule, I saw something related to fee schedule being reviewed. It may be coming up with council, but I did note as a participant, I did see when I looked at the bulletin that the pickleball class went up, say, for example, $5 a month. So it's just something I recognize. I'm not upset about it or anything, but just kind of curious were those changes or those increases across the board, or was it class by class?
So Lisa can correct me if I'm wrong, but what we implemented was we did our $5 non-resident fee.
That would have been for summer, fall. So these
Oh,
classes
thank you.
fall in winter, spring. I think where the difference in prices is it's based by how many weeks are in the month. So there's no holidays on a Monday or a Wednesday in April, so that month tends to be a little more expensive because it's 5 weeks. or
Thank you.
4
Thank you
weeks.
for that. You know what? That makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lisa.
Commissioner DeGrave?
Yes, I just want to piggyback on Commissioner Castro's comment. How do you prioritize expanding programs if they're very popular?
It's really based on space and availability. Pickleball, for example, we're really trying to keep courts available for public use. So we're out there a lot, but the overall time is pretty limited. And we try not to, steamroll the public use of everything. So that's really the biggest thing, is just looking at space and availability before we add anything new.
And then if there are classes that continually have a wait list that builds up, sometimes they'll look at talking to the instructors and seeing if they can add an additional section, or sometimes splitting a larger age range class into two smaller age ranges to create a little more. It's very much variable depending on the specifics of the case and the class and where it's held. And I think youth musical theater is actually a good example of that, because it used to be a single program with every age range, and then there was so much demand for it. Eventually it became twice a year, and then it became a separate teen program and a younger kids program.
Thank you.
Vice Chair Sizemore?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Lisa, for being here with us tonight. It's always a pleasure to get to have you here in council chambers with us.
Thanks.
Thank you. I have not looked at the catalog of course offerings yet. Do we continue to offer the week-long camps?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking like the daycare kind of camps, but like my kids used to always do Wonder Science.
The summer fun, we call them summer fun camps.
Okay.
So yes, definitely. Those all opened on April 28th. We have cooking, baking. We have Play Well, which is a complement to Wonders.
Okay.
So it's Lego engineering and STEM-based. We offer that with the young kids, and in the afternoon, it's an older age group that
Okay.
runs through that. And then we have all of our sport camps and all of that all
Thank
opened
you.
on
That was
April
going to be
28th.
one of my questions was, have we found something comparable to replace Wonder Science
Yes,
with?
we did. They're
Okay.
Play Well Technologies. They're doing great, and it's a fun little program for everybody.
Okay, thank you. That's good to hear. I've always felt that our contract classes has been a gem in what we offer. I know as a parent, as a homeschooling parent, I relied heavily on those classes to fill in some of the gaps that I like to say, there's things I can't do. My kids took Yes, You Can Draw because no, I can't. So I hope that we continue to have such a wealth of courses that we continue to offer. I think that's one of the concerns that I have is I hate to use the term look towards the future of not having a community services commission. I would hate to see, I'd hate to see contract classes not get the advocacy that they deserve. So thank you.
Thank you, and welcome back, Lisa. I have 3 questions after listening to the commissioners. So one is the pickleball courts. How is that going with the new courts and opening and with the classes? And second one is the summer camp. Are we still offering summer camp? Like, is that the same thing you're talking about, or it's different, the summer camp? During the summer, I remember last year that was a big demand. Is that opening, or you have different strategies? And the last one is, do the instructor highlight reels or the community service expo help improve the registration?
Okay. So first of all, pickleball is doing great. I think that everybody's loving the complex. It's so nice to have many more courts available for play. It's very busy out there. Kingsburg was just letting me know this morning, or this just at the beginning of this afternoon, that it doesn't seem like there's a whole long wait for courts, that they're able to easily put their paddle in and get moving, and it's not such a long wait to get on a court as it was when it was at Margarita. So those are doing really, really well. We do have a pickleball camp. It was in spring break as well, and then we have one coming up, I think 2 actually, for the summertime. We did offer summer day camp, all-day summer day camp at the CRC as well, and we have Camp SOAR at the MRC, which is very similar. Both of those are all-day programs. They opened a little earlier than our regular registration. They all filled up just as we had planned for them to do, and we're working through wait lists as we have movement coming through for all of those. And then your third question was on
The reels, the
Oh, the
instructor reels, or
yes.
the expo?
Yeah, I definitely think that people have an opportunity to see all the things that are offered. Sometimes people get stuck in what they typically take, and when you walk around and you see the book come to life that way, it certainly opens new avenues for any of the instructors to receive new enrollment. We haven't received any kind of data in regards to the actual Instagram reels, but I feel like they see improvement after the expo, for sure.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And now we will move on to our theater presentation by Hilda Nieto. Welcome.
Hi, good evening. My name is Hilda, and I do work at the theater. I believe I met most of you guys. I do come and present once a year, so I am the senior office specialist at the theater, but I'm also the ticket office lead. That's my theater title. I oversee the volunteers and then help Cherise with any admin work, budgeting, staffing, training, and stuff like that. And then also customer service with all of our patrons and some of our producers. So it's nice to meet the ones I haven't met before. So I'll go ahead and start with our theater. So this past month we had Temecula Valley Players present 9 to 5. They had 11 performances and a total of 1,913 patrons attend during the performances. We did only have one Temecula Present show, which was the Flamenco Bibo. That one was an awesome show. I got to work it, and they did an amazing job. So, and we did have about 232 patrons come in. I know we had a few latecomers, so I don't know if they made it into the drop count, but it was an awesome event for that one, so performance. And then for the Merc, we do continue with our regular programming for Jazz at the Merc, comedy, speakeasy, Brazilian jazz, and classics. And some of them have been sold out, so that's always a good number to see when the shows are sold out. So, and we had 14 shows in combination of all of them with 519 patrons attend. So, and that concludes the theater slides. Do you guys have any questions?
Thank you. And we will start with Commissioner DeGrave.
Thank you, Hilda, for your presentation. I don't have a whole lot to say other than, again, I just want to recognize that the city, the diversity of the programming that we have here in town is really amazing. From 9 to 5 to the flamenco show. I love seeing that this is right here in our backyard, and it's bringing in not only residents to come and see and experience this, but also just bringing people from the outside, which helps our local economy. It helps our local businesses thrive. So I love the work that you're doing there, and really appreciate the variety of everything that the theater programs are offering.
Thank you. Now, Commissioner Kingsburg.
Thank you, Hilda. Yes, just piggybacking Commissioner DeGrave's comments, very similar. I just really amazed by what you guys put out there. It's great. It's great to have this as a resource in the community. I think it's a real gem in the community. And again, the variety, I mean, as a local resident, just to be able to, I think a couple months back, we went and saw the Rent musical, and I was talking to you guys beforehand, and I said, well, I got my Legend Series AC/DC for later this month. So, yeah, it's a great night out at a reasonable price, at a great location, and the quality you guys bring in is amazing, so keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Castro?
Good evening, thanks for being here. What's the current status on number of raccoons at the theater?
Right now, 0.
0. I just wanted to piggyback on their comments. It's a great facility and great opportunity for the citizens to be able to go to the theater right here in town. But thank you.
Thank you. And Vice Chair?
Yes, thank you, Hilda, for being here. It's a pleasure to have you with us tonight. Perhaps my questions might be better directed towards Director Russo. I immensely value the community theater. We are so blessed to have that here in our community. Not only does it serve our residents, but it does also serve our guests and visitors to our city. It's a beautiful city. It's a beautiful asset that our city has. We have a lot of talented artists, a lot of talented performers in our community, and I so value that we have this space that they can grow in their talents in, but also I just really appreciate not having to drive to the Pantages. If I can never have to do the drive to Hollywood again, I will be a happy woman. And drive is not really necessarily the word. If I can never have to do the crawl on the freeways to Hollywood again, I'll be happy. So I really, truly treasure that asset in our community. Now that the theater is over 20 years old, I'm just questioning, do we have any intents for refurbishment? Do we have a property replacement plan in place? And just an understanding of what the condition of all the equipment is, because I think it would be a real tragedy for it to fall into disrepair.
Yeah, that's a great question. So the theater has had one major CIP with a complete renovation, and it's also had some upgrades along the way. And we're continuing to look at particularly the audio system and just trying to figure out what exactly is needed. This past season, as we were looking at a replacement of the audio system, it would be over $350,000. So it's a substantial investment, and it's definitely something that has to go through the CIP process, where it's a lengthy process of ensuring that an appropriate funding source is found and balancing, all of the CIP projects within the city against one another to make sure we have a funded and well-balanced CIP program. But the theater is definitely on the radar. And if you are available, we have our budget workshop is coming up. Let's see, I want to say May 22nd. Let me just check that real quick. I should know this off the top of my head. Yes, May 22nd at 9 a.m.
I will be out of town on that date.
Okay.
Are we able to submit public comments to be read into the minutes?
Yes, you can definitely submit public comments. I don't know if they'll be reading them into the minutes at the meeting or if they'll be providing copies to the
Okay.
council, one way or another.
Okay,
And then I believe there will be a Zoom link where you'll be able to watch the.
okay.
And the budget workshop is open to the public as well. Anyone can join. So it's an interesting way to kind of see into that process of discussion and how budgets are formed for the
Okay.
city.
Yeah, that would be good. I think one of my concerns would be, I feel like our Parks and Rec, rightfully so, they get a lot of the loving, but I would hate to see our arts in our community start to fall and not get the love and the funding. And I just think that would be a real tragedy for that to happen to the theater. It's hard to believe that it's over 20 years old and it might be time to start freshening it up, putting a new coat of makeup on. So, thank you.
I'm sure Bea appreciates that, as she was at the theater when the doors opened, so.
The 20th anniversary is October 4th of
Wow.
2025, coming up.
It was so exciting at the time when it opened here. And I remember the CYT productions moving from Fallbrook
Yes.
to this theater, and my kids doing dance performances there. So it's truly been an asset, not just to, our residents, but our performers and their growth, and then the visitors.
If I could acknowledge Rebecca Wearsing and the Rose Society, they decorated, and we still have donations from opening night there that we honor and treasure and value. So thank you for supporting us.
Thank you. Thank you, Aunt Becky. You've done a lot for our community. Give my best to Alicia. Thank you.
Thank you. And hi, Hilda. I saw you again. I watched you in action at the flamenco dance. Thank you for checking me in.
Oh, no problem.
So I was very excited to attend the flamenco dance. It's the first time I saw the dancers live. And they were highly skilled from Spain, and their footworks were impeccable.
Yes.
And I would have enjoyed it more if there were a short description. I was expecting the traditional classical dance with a big red dress, a flower in the hair, but I was a little surprised that it's a modern twist. So I was expecting the whole evening for them to change, and so when it ended, I was surprised. I also invited a friend who lived in Spain for a few years, and she felt the same. So maybe if there is a way we can put some short description that will help the patrons. And that will segue into my question of how do the theaters select the dances? Do you watch the whole show, or do you just watch clips of videos they send to select?
Bea probably could answer this one.
I'll go ahead and answer that one. Yes, we go to conferences, we see clips and in-person meetings, we get references from other theaters. Flamenco Vivo has been here before, I believe in 2011, so they're a return. So when we have favorites, we know that the tap shows always sell out, that there's certain groups that bring a following, but we like to have an eclectic variety, so we have had some dance companies return, but we're always looking for the newest, latest, greatest, but we also want to honor the traditions as well. So if you ever step inside the dance studio at the theater, you'll see all the dance companies that have ever been here over 20 years. The posters are lining up on the wall there. We're running out of space. But yeah, we've had the greats, we've had local, we've had international, and everything in between. So we do select them. Charisse is currently programming the season for next year, and then that brochure will be coming out in the summer.
Thank you. And another question is for the theater, seating is at 300 maximum, and for the Merc, is that 50 or 40?
It's 365 at the theater,
Okay.
including the box seats and balcony. And then in the Merc is 48 with the tables and chairs. When we remove those, it's up to 70.
Okay. Another question, the box, I saw it's empty. Is that for sale or it's reserved?
The box seats are for the city council. If they determine to use them, they have 2 seats each for themselves and a guest. If they do not use them by noon of the day of the performance, they are available for sale. The other side, there are 6 seats for the Theater Foundation, the same for any of their donors and so forth. These were policies that were initiated when we opened the theater, but when we need the seats, when we're sold out and they don't show, we are able to sell them. So there's just a noon hard deadline of the day of the show that then opens up more seats.
Okay, that's good to know.
They're also ADA accessible, so the upper box is for wheelchair accessibility as well.
Thank you. And now moving on, we have consent calendars. Can I have a motion and a second, please? To approve the action minutes of April 14th, 2025.
I make a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll second.
Thank you. So we have Commissioner DeGrave made a motion and the Commissioner Castro second.
Thank you, Chair. I'll take a roll call. Commissioner Castro?
Aye.
Commissioner DeGrave?
Aye.
Commissioner Kingsburg?
Aye.
Vice Chair Sizemore? Aye. Chairperson Hawks?
Aye.
The vote is unanimous. The motion is approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to Director's Report. Director Russo.
Good evening, everyone. It's wonderful seeing everyone here today. Not much to report. We had a really successful rod run this weekend. I'm not sure how many of you had a chance to be there. I know Commissioner DeGrave shared she and her family were there. Weekend before last. We were so thrilled with the turnout. And as you know, we rolled out some new approaches with the cruise night. So in the past, cruise night was open, no pre-registration, but the year before this year, we had a lot of complaints because it was so popular. The cruise night got very bogged down, a lot of cars got stuck, a couple overheated. So this year, we implemented a pre-registration policy. It resulted in a very smooth cruise night. The downside of that was that we did have a number of people who were upset who didn't pre-register and it sold out and they didn't get a chance to cruise. So, you know, as always with these events, we're constantly just balancing one need or one desire against another, and we're constantly trying to find the sweet spot. So we'll be debriefing that event in a subcommittee meeting on July 7th. Staff will be debriefing before that, and just trying to bring forward any other recommendations we have to make next year even better. And then speaking of events recommendations, we're bringing forward, at the request of the Parks and Recreation Subcommittee, tomorrow night at Council, a recommendation to create some reserved paid parking at the 4th of July. So we'll be bringing forward this proposal. This would essentially create some reserved paid parking for RVs, which, you know, the RV parking on Rancho Vista is very popular. And this would allow people to pay ahead and reserve spots. And then we would create some paid parking within the event. And as you may know, the Temecula Valley High School parking is always available and open and free. So there would still be free parking there. So that was at the recommendation of Parks and Rec Subcommittee, and we'll be bringing it to the full council tomorrow night for discussion. So just so you know that that item will be brought up. And then to our public speakers, I just wanted to comment, I think the idea of adding the Rose Garden as a location is great. And with the concurrence of commission, we'll take that to staff and we'll discuss and assess and see whether or not that can be done. But I certainly think it's a great idea and definitely a beautiful setting for plein air or anything else. So thank you for coming this evening. We really appreciate that. And that concludes my report. Do you have any questions?
Any questions?
I have a couple.
Okay.
I saw that the city put out a thing for signing up for the 4th of July parade. And I know there was some back and forth about whether there was going to be a parade or, so I assume there's a parade.
There is a parade,
Okay.
yes.
And then I saw also we're getting ready for the summer swim activities. Do we have enough lifeguards and enough pools and all of the things to run the program?
I mean, I think some will argue we will never have enough pools.
Yeah.
Most of our swim lessons do end up with some wait list, and I'm sure Lisa can speak to that more specifically, but we know there's an enormous demand for swim lessons within the city. We do have 2 full-size pools we're operating now. We are no longer operating the Temecula Elementary School pool. That has been closed. They are demoing that, and they're going to be building I think a parking loop in that area. So unfortunately, when we added the MRC, we thought originally we would be going from 2 to 3 pools for the summer, and we do use the Chaparral pool a little bit in the summer as well. But we're losing the TES pool, so our year-round pools will now just be the CRC and the MRC pools, and then we do have the Chaparral pool for summer swim lessons. So
I mean, if I remember correctly, last year, right before we were supposed to start, the one pool broke down.
yes,
That's
yes.
not- That
No.
was a once,
Knock on wood, everything's good. Yeah,
All right.
and we're doing okay with the hiring this year too. We
okay,
should be good.
thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Moving on to Commissioner's report. We'll start with Commissioner Kingsburg.
Thank you, Chair Hawks. Yeah, so since we last met, there are a few events that I participated in that I would like to mention. One would be the Young Men's Career Conference, which was held on April 17th. It was an honor to serve as a mentor in that conference, and really a lot of energy, a lot of good feeling. A lot got done within just a couple hours. I mean, it was a pretty brief event, kind of a quick coffee breakfast meeting, but really impressed with the young people that were there, and just the whole vibe was really good. So great, successful initial event. And then 2 days later, I attended the Earth Arbor Day and Easter egg hunt over at Harveston Park. It was very well attended. It was a very bright, sunny day after it had been kind of cool and perhaps rainy. But I was impressed with how the Earth Arbor Day got kind of melded into one of the Easter egg hunts, and it was a really good turnout over there. A lot of people were out that morning and enjoyed that. And then last week, I was over at the Senior Center once again for the Mother's Day lunch celebration, and it was a nice event as usual. The choir did a great job, and rumor is someone has a photo of me out on the so-called dance floor. So please don't share that with anyone if that's the case. I want to put that one aside. But anyway, it was a nice event. I did want to comment a little bit on, the recent action of the city council and any potential impacts perhaps on our commission as we finish off the 2025 year. Obviously, I was the lone public comment that night, and so certainly based on my comments, one would imagine I was disappointed certainly in the council's decision. It does sting when you invest your time and energy into something that you believe in and you value, yet those efforts seem to fall short of providing enough reciprocal value in return, for something to endure. It feels a little bit like our commission and the other two commissions became a bit more of a burden than an asset, or at least it's perceived that way. But that being said, I plan on finishing out my term. I'm glad to have the opportunity to do it through December 31st, and I think as a commission we should see the year through and finish strong, if you will. And again, should be no quit. And we're all here tonight, so I appreciate all you guys for continuing on, and staff for working hard and doing the good work we've continued to try to do. In following some of the other commissions, it did appear that they perhaps lacked a quorum for their meetings. I don't know the reasons behind that, but I do believe we should continue to seek to achieve a quorum and, when possible, have a full commission on hand. And just a thought, I'm not really making a proposal, but it'd be interesting to see what others think. And I know we can't discuss things tonight in great depth, but if we might want to consider an agenda item for the next meeting where we kind of plan for the second half of the calendar year, per se. I mean, I'm fine with staying status quo and continuing to do things as we do, but there might be an interest in kind of reviewing the last 6 months and seeing if there's any tweaks that we want to make and make sure that we're all on the same page as a unified body, any adjustments we wish to make or not. But anyway, just want to make sure we're all on the same page. Thank you all for being here. It's a pleasure to work with all of you, and we'll continue to have a good second half of 2025. So thank you.
Thank you. Now, Commissioner DeGrave.
Thank you. Yes, I did enjoy the cruise night in our old Chevy. It was, we had never participated in the past, and so if you need feedback from somebody that had a timer on their phone and was worried that they weren't going to get a spot, I was on right on the dot. Got online. The process was fairly simple, and we had so much fun. We were kind of late to the game, honestly. I think we got there around 7, and we didn't know if we would even have enough time to really enjoy it, and we just kept going around and around, and it was fun. Just, people on the street and really enjoying it. The weather was perfect, so couldn't complain. I'm really looking forward to this Saturday's Culture Day Cuba. I was at the museum earlier today, loaning them a bongo drum and some art from my parents, some cigar boxes, and I know Bea has loaned some items as well. And so I'm just really excited to be out there on Saturday and have the community get to experience a little flavor of Cuba. I did want to, similar to Commissioner Kingsburg's comments, I was disappointed to hear that this commission will be disbanded at the end of the year. Being a junior commissioner here, I was really looking forward to serving for the next 2.5 years. It's been a great experience, but I did want to share that Despite my disappointment, I do plan on serving out my term with the same enthusiasm and dedication. As an ambassador to the community, I hope to continue to be involved. And if nothing more, this has really helped me really get a behind-the-scenes experience of what goes on with the city of Temecula, and just encourage me to get more involved.
Thank you. Commissioner Castro?
Thank you. Congratulations on another successful rod run. I also wanted to congratulate you guys on how well the social media goes and how much of an impact it has on the community, and being able to see what's going on and let them know. I mean, the number of views is incredible, and the number of people following. To address Jeff's comments, I agree with finishing out our term. I'm not sure really there's a reason to look at changing things unless we can find a way to provide feedback to the city council that they're going to listen to. And I think that's one of the main reasons why they did away with the commission, because there's nothing coming up from us to them. And it's both ways. They didn't really seem to seek out any comments from us or input from besides the canned briefings every month or 2 weeks or whatever it is. So unless we're going to substantially change how we provide feedback, or we have something of value to say, I don't see any real reason to change what we're doing. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. And Vice Chair Sizemore?
Thank you, Chair Hawks. I did have an opportunity to attend the Young Men's Conference, and I did send comments to the mayor, Director Russo, and city manager, just how impressed I was with the wealth of the careers that they had represented. When we've talked about them developing this conference in the past, you talked about having role models in underrepresented fields. And when I saw Conductor Jean Mario there, I was like, oh, they did it. They went deep. They got people there that these young men needed to be around. It was really great to see. One of the things that was most, that touched my heart the most was Mayor Kalfas started to talk about his career in pro sports. And there was another gentleman there who had a past career in professional football. And they both talked to the young men about this transition of going from high school and being an athlete to not being an athlete, and what a change it is in life, and just how you need support through that. And I really appreciated that, because as a mother of scouts and book nerds, it feels at times like we have a society that is overly in love with athletics and glamorizes it. And I have seen young men and young women that I've dealt with scouting, and this, suddenly I'm not an athlete. It's hard on them. And so I was glad to hear the mayor and the other gentleman bring that up, because I think that's something that these young men will need that support, or to start thinking about that. A couple more things I want to mention. Paid parking for the 4th of July. I'm just kind of, just this is where I get to just say it. We're making our residents pay to park in a public facility that their tax dollars pay for the parking.
So, to provide some context, as it came up in the subcommittee meeting, one of the concerns after the last 4th of July in particular, three concerns. One is the dispersal after the event. Last year we had some hiccups.
It's horrible.
Yeah, and
It's chaotic.
It's always horrible, and last year was worse than most for a variety of reasons that we feel like we've addressed. Another concern was the amount of drinking at the event. And the third concern was, I shouldn't say concern, but the third observation was that we believe the event has become a real draw for non-residents, for people outside of the city coming into the city.
Yes.
And particularly since some other neighboring cities have either stopped doing their 4th of July celebrations or don't do them on the 4th of July, or maybe never had one to begin with. So part of the thought process was to provide the opportunity for reserved parking and then open it to residents only for the first week. So residents would have first shot at that, and then to, if any spots are available, to open it to non-residents. So part of the idea behind it was, with free parking still available at TVHS, this would provide an opportunity for residents who wanted to kind of get reserved parking where they would be able to get in and be guaranteed a spot. Because a lot of people come really early, they spend the whole day there. I think that's where a lot of people get into pre-gaming. Sometimes some overconsumption happens because they know they have to get there really early in the morning and get that spot and then sit out in the sun all day. Whereas if they know they have the reserved parking, that's something where they could come maybe a little later, and maybe it would just kind of tighten up the timeline of people who are out there. So I will say it's not, it's going to council tomorrow, it's up for debate. Council may very well vote against it. This is the recommendation of the subcommittee. And the other thought, I think, is just looking towards, we will be increasingly looking at opportunities for cost recovery for some of our events, programs, activities, and so forth. Obviously, for an event like the 4th of July that costs hundreds of thousands of dollars to put on by the time you've factored in all of the public safety, the fire, the fireworks themselves, the firm that has to come out to provide the irrigation for the fireworks several days ahead of time, extremely expensive. And all of this parking together, if we went with this plan and we sold every single parking space, it would be like, it was $4,000, $6,000, $8,000.
That's nothing.
Somewhere between $4,000 and $8,000.
That's
very small.
In a city budget, that's lunch money.
Yes, very, very small amount of money.
That's
But I
coffee
think
money.
some of it is sort of floating a trial balloon to start this dialogue around the idea of, hey, forever the city has been doing everything for free and at this very, very high level. And as we're entering a period of economic uncertainty and some budget constriction, we may need to start thinking outside the box on some of these things. So I think that, without trying to speak for the subcommittee, I'm not trying to put words in their mouths, but I think those were some of the thought processes going on. So
Do our Measure S dollars not cover this anymore?
I mean, our Measure S dollars, we get about roughly 3.6 ballpark, $3.6 million a year in Measure S. And that is split, 1.8 million goes to TCSD operations, 1.8 million goes to parks maintenance, parks and facilities maintenance. And the TCSD budget as a whole is pushing 20 million this year. So no, Measure S doesn't cover, it's very small. It was capped at $74.44 per parcel back in like 1994, 1991?
Yeah.
There was never a inflator built into Measure S. So if it had been inflated, it would be something like $250 per parcel now.
I think you're referring to Measure C.
Oh, sorry, thank you, Bea.
Yes.
I'm totally
Yes,
going
I
down
was
the
going to
Measure
say,
C.
I wasn't even married in '94, and I know my husband was very vocal in our
Thank
household
you.
about this.
Thank you, Bea. Thank you.
Thank
No,
you.
sorry, I'm talking Measure C. That is unrelated.
Okay.
Not unrelated. That does go to fund TCSD. You're right, Measure S is allocated to fund CIPs, public safety, and TCSD, not quite in that order.
Okay.
This year, as you'll hear in the budget workshop, if you have a chance to listen or attend or whatever, with Measure S revenues projected to decline somewhat and/or at best remain flat, while the cost of funding all those things is increasing.
Yes.
The amount of demands on Measure S for those three things, CIP, public safety, and TCSD, will exceed the total Measure S pie soon. Already for this next CIP cycle, we've been looking at identifying projects that use Measure S funding and trying to, wherever possible, shift funding sources to other funding sources where we can. And there's a potential that some CIP projects may be delayed to future years because there isn't enough Measure S funding to fund them right now. And eventually, what we'll need to be looking at is most likely CIPs will need to be funded from some other source and/or smaller amounts of Measure S. And what Measure S is remaining is going to be divided between an ever-increasing cost of public safety and an ever-increasing cost of TCSD. So the short answer to a very complicated equation is I don't think Measure S will continue to be sufficient in the future. For this year it will be, next year it will be. We're looking 3 years, 5 years, 10 years out. Eventually Measure S will probably not keep pace with the pace of the growth of expenses. So, going back to your original question.
I'm sorry.
No, not at all. And going back to what Commissioner Kingsburg brought up earlier about fee increases,
Yeah.
some of the other things we're looking at doing are adding non-resident fees to some or all of our programming. We're going to be revisiting a lot of our fee schedules for things that haven't been, maybe we have facilities we're renting where those fees haven't been increased in 10 years or more. The fee for our day camp, our summer day camp program, which somebody asked about, I think Chair Hawks asked about earlier. The fee for our summer day camp program hasn't increased since the 90s. We charge $160 per session.
Most of them, I feel like it's 285
$285? Okay, I can't remember why I was thinking one.
because it's 2 weeks long.
Oh, for a 2-week session.
And 2-week session, and then there's one that is a little less because we don't have the 4th of July.
Right.
Yeah.
At any rate, what we charge for summer day camp, just to use as an example, does not even come close to cost recovery. You know, we're a public agency. We will never be in the business of making money through our fees, but legally we are allowed to pursue cost recovery, which means we can charge a fee up to the cost of providing the service. Things like our summer day camp, heavily subsidized, heavily subsidized. We charge less for our summer day camp than Boys and Girls Club charges for their summer program, and we provide a lot more in terms of activities. It's part of why we have a waiting list, 5 people deep for every one person who gets in. So I think overall we're going to be looking at trying to find opportunities to either increase revenues, to increase cost recovery, or decrease expenses. It's just like budgeting, any other family budget, you're constantly looking at, can I bring in more money? Can I spend less money? Those two things are ways you can help kind of balance out. So these are some of the discussions that are going into the current budget process. Again, the budget workshop will be open. It's open to the public. Anybody can watch, anybody can come in, anybody can voice their opinions, they can do public comments. But I do think increasingly, and Aaron has said this from the dais in a previous council meeting too, I can't remember what the topic was, but he said, increasingly you're going to see me saying, I'm paraphrasing here, don't quote me. He said, increasingly you're going to see me saying that we can do this, but it's coming at this cost, or we can do this, but if we do this, it means we can't do this, so. Does
No,
that help?
it all makes sense.
Okay.
I own and operate a business, and we hardly ever raise money because we always, or our fees for our clients, because we've always considered, half a loaf is better than no loaf, and they're trying to make ends meet just like we are. This is the first time in history that we're actually sitting down and starting to talk about it. I think we need to start increasing people. So I get that, but when you start to charge for a parking spot in a public facility that our taxpayer dollars are paying for, it feels ticky-tacky. And I understand the aspect of out-of-city residents coming to it. It's always boggled my mind. It's frustrated me because I knew people that lived in Menifee that were staking out to get their RV parking for the Temecula event. And it's like, I live in Temecula and I'm not even able to go to the event because it's such a madhouse and I can't get parking. So I get it. I would hope that our residents that have physical needs, that they need one of those closer parking spots, would be able to communicate with TCSD to get some type of priority. And
We will have reserved ADA parking as well.
Good.
There will be handicap
Good.
parking available for sure.
it feels like that, it just feels wrong to me.
I will definitely
To
share.
capture costs in that way. I totally understand capturing costs like moving the summer concert series back to the amphitheater where we can control the amount of attendance by charging $5 a ticket. They're amazing concerts. I'd pay $10 a ticket. So balance.
No, absolutely, and I will share your comments as well, for sure.
Next thing I just wanted to bring up, I wanted to echo off of Commissioner Kingsburg. It's disappointing to see the commission disbanded, Community Services. There was a lot of talk about forming a people commission. I don't know, but I kind of think we talk about human services and people here on this commission, so it sounds a lot like the Community Services Commission, but, what do I know? It's really disappointing to see the process of appointments moving to not being in such a public forum. As I've lived in the city for almost 30 years, and for a long time, it felt like commissioners and there was a select group of people who would get these positions, and they were all backroom deals. And now, for the first time, it's been it's been transparent, the process of being appointed. I look at commissioners such as myself and Commissioner Hawks, who has spent you can say, where have you guys been? We haven't seen you, because we've been raising our kids. And now if it's going to be, you get appointed by a council member and you get to a point where you start to leave out these people who are truly representing the families in this community. And I really just, I despise that we're taking this back to a position where you apply to a commission or a council member and you talk to them. And so what, you represent them now instead of the residents? It seems like a step backwards in the transparency of our city government. I will be serving, I will remain in my position through the end of the term. I understand what Commissioner Castro said. It doesn't feel like council's wanted to communicate with us, so I don't know what change we can really invoke, but I also agree with Commissioner Kingsburg. We need to make sure that we wrap up the commission's work. And so if there is an element of we should create agendas for the next 6 months where we're reviewing things, getting it ready to tie the bow and hand it off. But that's only if council really cares about us tying up the bow.
Yeah, if I can just jump in on that a little bit. I think first and foremost, I know I certainly want to thank all of you for your, above all, just dedication to the community. Like, it's so inspiring, and I believe more needed now than ever in the past for people to be civically engaged, and at whatever level. And there are many ways to do that. And obviously, we're speaking to some people in the public or in the audience who truly understand that as well. I think civic engagement and volunteerism are more critical than ever. And every one of you represents that and has lived that. And, whether you've been on the commission, whether you're brand new on the commission, whether you've been on the commission for years, like, you have all really exemplified public service. And many of you have exemplified public service in your careers and in other aspects of your lives, and volunteerism as well. So I really do thank you. And I cannot speak for the council. I do think it's important, as much as we can, to keep an open mind towards however this process plays out. I think sometimes, my daughter, who runs a restaurant, she's very capable, and she got her master's degree in, now of course, organizational leadership. And she was talking to me about something, one of the companies she was working for when she was running a chain restaurant, and she was saying, they rolled out this change. And the change itself wasn't bad, but it was received really badly. And she said, this is change management 101. Like, nobody thought about how to roll out this change. And even if they agreed with the change itself, the way it was rolled out created a lot of opposition. So I've been reflecting a lot on that. I've been doing a little reading on change management. And I'm like, it's a much more complex topic than I would have given it credit for. But I think there's something really important about that notion that sometimes the way change comes about is even more impactful, makes even more of a difference than the change itself. And so, because I believe so much in every one of you and what you've brought to the table and what you continue to bring to your communities in various ways, whatever capacity that is, I would just urge everyone to, if you are so inclined, remain engaged with the process. And I know we'll be having that joint meeting sometime in July. I don't think they've landed on a date yet, but there will be a joint meeting in July with the Ready Commission and the Community Services Commission and the Council. And I think that will be a really valuable opportunity for every one of you to share your visions and your voices about how you feel, what you feel the future of that level of engagement in the city structure looks like. Whether that is, and various things have been floated, a people commission, different types of commissions, ambassador roles, different types of subcommittees, whatever that looks like, there's still some need there. So I think, to the best of our abilities, to not let the way something has come about get in the way of shaping what it looks like in the end, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And by the same token, I mean, we've had many wonderful, wonderful commissioners before who have served their time and at some point have said, I'm kind of done with this phase of my volunteerism and I'm ready to go do something else. And if any of you are at that point, I 100% respect that as well. And I know everyone else would as too. But I just think, I think there's still a really valuable role for each and every one of you to play within the city and within your communities. And I'm hopeful, and I'm open-minded, or I'm open to the possibility that this joint meeting will be an opportunity for something new to grow out of this process. Does that make sense? Hopefully I didn't talk over myself too much there.
No, thank you for your comments, Director Russo, appreciate it. And, you know, I do, my prayer and hope is that, you know, that this will be a good process.
I hope the outcome is good. I don't know about the process, but no, I definitely think there's a real potential here. And I think there are some needs too that, you know, the Community Services Commission has existed since almost the beginning of the city. And it was conceived of in one very narrow need at the time, which was acquisition development of parks at a time when the city was very new, didn't have any parks. We were either acquiring and developing parks through developers, or we were acquiring parks that had been on previously county land that became part of incorporated Temecula. And that was really the charge of the Community Services Commission at the time. And over time, the city has grown. We're not really in the business of developing parks very much. Once in a while, we'll get a new park with Altair, but very few and far between. And the Community Services Department has grown and expanded enormously. You know, we have a theater now. We have a huge contract class program. We have, you know, the History Museum. We have the regular Parks and Rec. We have we have so much going on. And my hope is that even if the process has been messy and suboptimal and obviously in some ways insulting, my hope is that this process may lead to an opportunity to reconsider and reimagine what the needs of the community and the city are as it relates to community services and anything related to Ready and anyone else, you know. And it may give us an opportunity to kind of take a really fresh approach and a really fresh eye towards that. It's just my view from the outside. Obviously, I'm not on the inside of this discussion, but I just want to share that perspective, and hopefully that's helpful. And, you know, I definitely don't think the intention was in any way to slight or dismiss what the commissions have been doing. But I am absolutely certain, I absolutely understand how it feels on your end to be on the receiving end of being told, your services are no longer needed, you know? I understand. I hope we move forward into a better phase with all of this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I would encourage you, as we wrap up the work of this commission, that you bring to us, that we not just be punching our cards for the next 6 months, but that you would bring us whatever we need to make sure that we complete this job as best we can.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well said, everyone. And I have 3 points I want to make. The first is I was at the Community Services Expo. I saw Lisa and a few staff, and I received very positive feedback from contract instructors, class instructors, and they really appreciate the opportunity to partner with the city to offer classes. Some have been doing it for 15, 20 years, and the opportunity for them to showcase at the expo. The second is Teen Zone. My son loves going to Teen Zone now. I don't have to force him. It's his Friday routine now. So one suggestion I have is if you can add some extra musical instruments, now you have a keyboard there, maybe guitar or electric guitar, I think the experience will be even better. Because a few times when I went there to pick up, I saw the kids were sitting in front of the screen playing games and they're not engaging with each other. And lastly, I want to talk about just the commission and the future of the commission. And I want to thank the staff, Director Russo and the superintendent and all the other staff for your continued support. And I want to speak to my fellow commissioners. I'm really encouraged and grateful to work alongside you. And I'm very proud of each of you. I saw your dedication. Despite the fact that we were told that we will no longer continue in December, I saw you at the expo. I saw Commissioner Castro. I saw I read the report. Each of you continue to actively engage in our community. That shows your dedication, your steadfastness, and that is inspiring. And all what you said tonight, we want to finish well. We want to finish strong. So that's my encouragement to all of you, that let us finish well. Let us stand our post till the last shift. And then another thing, some other comments also I want to make, that I really wanted to see some changes in our commission, that we can have an opportunity to put an agenda item on the agenda for future to discuss. I think I attempted to put an agenda item, but didn't succeed, and that we can give the council, we are an advisory council, so we can give some feedback before they make the decision. I feel like afterwards it's the afterthought, but if they can't hear from us and our perspective, then it'll help with the decision making. So I will highly recommend, maybe for the next 6 months, we can try something, see if our commissioners can be creative, because that's the part we can be creative. And I was thinking, what can we discuss instead of all the agendas that put in front of us? What can we do to be creative? And then I really appreciate all the candid comments. I think that's said in here tonight, and I agree with a lot of the sentiment. But again, I see the commitment and the dedication among my fellow commissioners. So I believe that we can finish this commission strong, and we will finish well. With that, meeting adjourned.
Talking about strong finish. That was it right there.